The sun god Ra greets the fertile valley, warming the banks, teeming with life. The day's catch is well underway, using the same techniques as their pharaonic ancestors. There's a serenity to the stillness of the Nile, only disturbed by our boat and home for this journey, the Sanctuary Zain Nile Chateau, a classic dahabeah or sailboat. Aristocrats and wealthy travelers leisurely sailed on these boats during the days of Egypt's monarchy. But in this world of timetables and unreliable wind, the sails remain furled and a tugboat takes over. Despite looking deep and wide, navigating these waters can be treacherous. Forget your map and GPS, we have Captain Ahmed Ali Khalil. Born on the Nile, he's sailed these waters for well over half a century.
I learned to sail when I was young. The craft is all in my head. Even when I sail at night, I know the directions, whether right or left. This is the lesson of life. I love dahabeah. It's prestigious. Unlike the cruise liners, this is sailing. When we sail, it's quiet.
Sailing runs in Khalil's blood. His father taught him the ropes, as did his father before him. A man of the Nile, Khalil used to sail as far south as Sudan, but Egypt's high dam put an end to that.
What I miss is the state of the Nile. It has changed. There is less water. In the summer, there used to be an increase in water. There was enjoyment in the old days. Everything was cheap and everything was sweet.
We open the sails for a while, but it becomes apparent that they're causing drag. So Captain Khalil instructs the hands on deck to furl the sail. He keeps a close eye, making sure it's stowed correctly, a full-body task. Khalil may be short in stature, but he commands enormous respect. He tells me he's determined to pass his knowledge on to the next generation, but would rather see the family tradition end with him.
Currently, we teach the boys the craft and take the girls to schools. If the boys find a job away from the Nile, then they take it. But for me, the Nile is my drug.
Khalil finds freedom in these waters.
The Nile is our moral compass. It's the blessing. It's life. You enjoy the Nile. It has a sweet smell. It's the greenery, the water, and the beautiful face, as the saying goes.
Watching him and the others work is like peering back in time. Khalil navigates us to our next destination. We make port of call in Edfu. I'm told the temple here is one of a kind. To get there, we hitch a ride. I meet my driver, Hassan, and his faithful steed, King. They take me through the streets of Edfu. He even gives me a turn at the reins. Well, kind of. We finally arrive. Put your imagination away for this one, because you won't need it. Edfu Temple is the most intact in Egypt. Hala tells me it depicts the grandest family feud of them all, an epic battle between the gods Horus and Set that has a connection to modern times.
Horus became the king of Egypt, and he's become the god of good, and Set has become the god of evil. And Set is nothing more than Satan in English and Shaitan in Arabic. He is the god of evil on this world.
The walls on this temple show the triumphant Horus riding on the defeated Set, depicted as a hippopotamus in shackles. The hieroglyphs are scratched out here too. This time, they're not targeted by a pharaoh's wrath, but rather early Christians who forbade depictions of the human form. At the temple's entrance, a statue of Horus greets us. He probably won't like where we go next.
This is the Holy of Holies, and it's the innermost part of the temple, the darkest part of the temple. This is where the statue of the god to whom the temple is dedicated exists.
And who would go back here?
The highest of the priests. In most of the times, it used to be the king.
Your average person caught here would have been hauled off to jail. But Hala tells me these god kings weren't too different from men today.
This is a pedestal, and it had the sacred boat of the king. You can think of it as his Cadillac. The Nile River was like their highway, and they excelled in making boats that took them up and down the river.
Makes sense, boys and their toys. Temples like this not only served as a place of worship, but also administration and learning.
This is the library of the temple, because the temple was not just a place of worship, but also a place of learning. They taught them astronomy, astrology, physics, mathematics. This is the hieroglyphic symbol for the library, which is a scroll of papyrus and two inquiries, one black and one red.
What is the connection between this library and the Great Library of Alexandria?
Actually, the Library of Alexandria is the major loss for humanity, because this is withered away all the ancient Egyptian knowledge and technology, and we seriously started from where they started, not from where they ended. Hadn't had this burning happened, the whole history of Egypt would have been written differently, because today the West regards the Greek philosophy and the Greek scholars as the oldest, when actually the Greek scholars and philosophers got their knowledge from the Library of Alexandria. They were taught in the Library of Alexandria.
A moment in time so pivotal, it had earth-changing consequences. It also highlights the importance of knowledge. Could it have saved the Egyptian civilization from conquest? Would these temples still be in use? I ponder this as we return to our boat to continue south. Next up on our journey, Aswan, where we'll get a lesson in history through music.